Happy Monday, everyone. I know usually we all don't look forward to the start of the week, but it's Monday. It's a new week, and you should be excited about all the things you're going to do throughout the course of the week. So today I want to talk about two things. My main topic for the day is talking about who athletes are without a sport. I think that has been something I've really spent time learning. And while I am only one athlete, I know a lot of others go through a similar thing. So that's the one thing. And the other thing I want to talk about is just, what people are doing today that makes them happy. Just overall. In general, it can be anything, and I've heard a lot of different people talk about things that make them happy, so I just want to kind of touch on that. So, first, going to, who athletes are without their sport. And I had a great conversation today with a coworker talking about his sibling who was currently playing ball in college and played at an Ivy League school, and, just how she had to make that decision going in of, okay, well, the sports were nice and she had some really top schools looking at her, but that basketball wasn't everything. And, I played Division I basketball myself, and I didn't know that. Like, I love where I played, and I have made some really lifelong friendships from it, but growing up, I played AAU basketball, and I traveled the world, and the goal was always to get me to college. This was my ticket into college. And while my parents never said that outright, it was like I was playing so competitively, and it was like we all on the team knew that's what we were doing. And I was fortunate enough to play with girls who, I played with consistently the same 9 to 12 girls for at least 3 or 4 years, and almost all of us got a full ride somewhere. I think maybe 6 of us went mid-major D1, then maybe 2 or 3 went big D1. But that just speaks to how competitive we were, and just the type of talent we had on that team. And so again, there was no other option. There was never you won't play basketball in college, and it was fine. It was my life in college. Everything I did focused around that. Missing classes, having to make up tests, my travel schedule, where I was for the holidays, everything was focused around basketball. And that was all I knew. The other thing is when I look back on my college experience, and a lot of people meet back up with their college friends and this and that, and it's well, my friends were my teammates. So I have one friend from college who I still talk to her all the time. We took a trip together abroad, and one friend who did not play sports and was not on a sports team. One. And, I look at that experience and I said, okay, that is the only part where I wish I had done more. Branch out a little bit and talk to other people on the campus, get involved in different things. But in the moment, everything else is centered around this one sport, and not everybody knows what you're going through, on the team and different things that you don't really think about it. You just did it. And I know, a lot of my teammates were in the same boat. A few of us, had friends outside of the team, and we would always be like, what are they doing? Why are they not here with us, and why are they out with them? And we didn't get it. And now I look at those teammates and I'm like, wow, again, not that there's anything wrong with my teammates and the friendships that I have, but it just broadens your network. So, I say that to say that, I can remember my senior year, and it had been a roller coaster ride. Again, playing at the Division I level and, playing for a very intense coach was difficult. If you weren't winning, it kind of felt like you were failing. And, when you're failing at your sport, again, this is your life. What else is really going right? And so that was hard. And we had a lot of ups and downs throughout all 4 years. Don't get me wrong. My freshman year, we came in and we had really great leadership, and they were established, and we dominated. And then after that, it was, finding new leadership in my team, in my class, and trying to figure things out. And so just over the years, it was like, we weren't doing shit, and it didn't feel great. And so senior year, we were getting it together. And so long story short, we made it to the championship game and we were playing our arch rival. And I can remember in that game, honestly, y'all. Now, some people may say this is wrong, but I can remember leaving every single thing I had on that court. And we lost. And when I say that broke my soul, I was so deflated because all year we had built up and we had been through so many things as a team, individually. There was so much growth that year, and I felt like, we deserved to win. But unfortunately, we just weren't the better team. I can't blame it on refs. I can't blame it on players or coaches. The talent was better on that team, and we made a couple of crucial errors, and so we lost. And after that game, I felt like I had nothing left in me. Everything was on that court in that game. When that final clock went off and that was it, I was like, well, now what? And it was the first time in my life at the collegiate level that I felt that. And it was so exhausting. I don't know how people do it. So, then we made it to the tournament. And, we played another team, and I don't even feel like I was there. I was, tapped out and just exhausted from everything from the season and just all this stuff that had been building up. And so, then when that game was over, my season was over. My collegiate career was over. Basketball was over. There's no next step, In elementary school, high school, you're always like, okay, maybe that next step, especially in high school, for all my athletes out there, no matter what sport you're playing, you are working so hard. If you want to play in college, you're working so hard to make that happen. And so now for it to just be done, and it was and we would joke all year long about, this summer we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're not going to have workouts, and we don't have to wake up at 6 a.m., and we can do whatever we wanted. And I was like, well, yeah, I can, but what am I going to do with all this time? And so the first couple of months were great, gained 15 pounds, and then it got serious. I was like, okay, my jeans aren't fitting, what am I going to do? So then I tried to get to the gym. I didn't know my way around the gym. My whole life, workouts have always been provided to me. And I was a Division I athlete. So there was a certain type of way I had to work out, certain strength I had to have, certain intensity, all these things that I didn't know how to do that without those other components, or without having my workout card in front of me saying, okay, this is what today's routine is, this is what you follow. So I honestly feel like a lot of times I was just wasting my time in the gym. Okay, let me pick up those dumbbells, let me go. And then I also realized I didn't like working out by myself. I've never worked out by myself. And now it was so different because it was just me, and in college we used to get in trouble or, to just help with camaraderie and accountability. There were all these different components that were added into weightlifting. So it had its purpose, not just for our strength, but for our team and our unit. And now, when it's just you're just okay, well, I want to stay in shape, but what else? And so that was really hard too, was finding my identity. It was well, do I like to go to the gym? Before I used to work out, yes, to be in shape, but for a reason. There was a purpose for being in shape. And so, I had to find that. But the biggest part about finding your identity outside of a sport comes from, what do you like to do? I cannot tell you how many people ask me, well, what do you want to do? Hell if I know. I have no idea, okay? Y'all, not a clue. Every other day, I work to figure out what it is I want to do. I know what my overall purpose is, and I know what I'm here for and what I'm very good at. Yes, helping is in my blood. It's been something I've been good at, and working with kids especially, that's my calling. It's not teaching, it's, you know what I mean? It's I know what my end calling is, but the journey to get there is so not clear. And so I remember while I figured it out a little bit now and I'm still piecing things together, when I first got out of college, I was lucky enough to go to grad school. And so I went to grad school and I was a graduate assistant for the women's basketball team. And so again, while I'm not directly playing, it still is my life. And so I was fine. It was like, okay, like this makes sense. And people would ask me like, okay, well, when you leave here, like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. I'm getting a master's in public administration, so I don't know. And like that felt so hard because people would say, well, what do you like to do? And I was just gonna be like, well, there's this and 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 this. And it was like, okay, so there's 10,000 things I like to do, but what do I love to do? What do I want my job to be? And so I moved to North Carolina and I was like, oh yeah, it's fine. I'll just take a couple months off because I had gone right from undergrad to grad, and that was 2 years. So I hadn't really had time to relax. So I said, okay, well, I have a master's now. Like, how hard can it be to find a job when I'm ready? So that lasted all 3 months because I don't like to not have things to do. I love to be on the go and active and doing things. And then the time came to look for a job and I would literally just stare at the computer screen. And then I would start applying to any and everything, like literally looking on Indeed.com and just Google searches and so many things. But then it was like I didn't have experience because my whole life, all I've done is basketball. Like in everything. And for people who don't know sports, they don't understand how big of a deal that is, how marketable that makes me. To have me on your team, no, I may not have a resume filled with internships and, all these different jobs, but having played basketball as a Division I athlete and having been a coach and all the different things you have to manage and lead and do while having both those roles, I feel like it blows people's experience out of the water, like who have been in jobs maybe, but because I couldn't put that down on a resume, like I didn't get calls. I couldn't even get through the screening process on the computer. And that was so frustrating. And like I said, people would ask me all the time, well, what do you want to do? And I didn't know because I just knew I liked a lot of things, but then I started trying one thing after another, and I'd be like, okay, well, I like to do that, but I don't love it to do it every day. I mean, I've been interpreting, I've done teaching, I've done personal training, I've done pet sitting and dog walking and driving for Uber and Lyft and babysitting. And I mean, I have literally done everything. And outside of basketball, there's nothing that I love. But but that was why I stopped doing it. So after grad school, I said, okay, like I need to step out of the basketball world because who am I? Who is Nakia? What does Nakia love to do? If somebody were to sit down today and say, hey, you know what? We can go out and do whatever you want to do. What would I want to do? And I was like, I don't know. And so while it has not been an easy journey of discovery, and while I still am figuring things out, now that I know my purpose overall, it hasn't been easier just because you know your purpose. And that's something else I wanted to say is, when you find your purpose, like that road doesn't all of a sudden just smooth out because it's like, oh, light bulb, whoop, you know your purpose. So here you go. Here's your roadmap. Like, no, it still is a journey of discovery and piecing everything together, and you're going to have the doubters and like, there's a lot to it. So, that's the other component of it. But I mean, it's just been funny how when I have conversations with people and, we talk about different things, how it just like, it's these light bulb moments for me. And I'm like, oh, like I have to talk about that because I know there are so many student athletes who go through that. When that final bell dings or when, that final lap in the swimming pool or that final goal on the field, whatever it is for you, whatever your sport is, when that final one happens, sometimes for some of us, there becomes a sense of now what? And I think it's a very real struggle that isn't talked about a lot because that's the other thing is, people from my experience and even talking to other athletes, like people don't talk to you about what real life is or what your next steps are until your maybe couple of months leading to graduation. And I think it falls in line with, what we learn in schools, or how, people go to college, take out these loans and have no idea how to pay them, or to manage their money, or different things. They're not talking about the next steps. College, you get so sucked into this moment, and everybody does, from, professors and, advisors to students. Everybody's just so sucked into this time right here overall. I do think that some students, when you don't play a sport and you have to do internships, and you still do internships in sports, but I think you're able to be given sometimes more guidance. And I could be wrong. Again, I'm only speaking from my perspective as a student athlete and someone who's talked with other student athletes and sees what my other student athletes, my other teammates, and just people in general are doing, and how life is for them post-college and post-collegiate athletic life. I think sometimes we're at a disadvantage, and I think a lot of people don't understand that, because they say, oh, well, you guys don't have any student loans, and, you have all this stuff. Don't get me wrong. I have moved from Connecticut to DC and DC to North Carolina solely using duffel bags and travel bags that I received from playing in college. I mean, literally all of my clothes fit into those bags. Shoes, clothes, the dog stuff, everything fits in those bags. And that's something I'm grateful. And I still wear the sports bras today, all that little stuff that adds up to a lot of money. And so, yes, I'm so grateful for that. I traveled to other countries, and I didn't pay for anything. Those are experiences I know a lot of people don't have, but I don't feel that you can compare apples to oranges. So just because I got those experiences, but I miss out on the experiences of, maybe having more of those relationships with my other classmates, and understanding, and seeing that side of things, and maybe, opening my eyes to other things, or, just, I don't know. It's always coulda, woulda, shoulda. And, if I could do it differently, I would have still gone to the school I went to, but taken that chance to broaden my horizons and really talked with people, but also put myself out there to start networking, so that when I was ready to get into the workforce, I would have something ready, or stacking my resume up a little bit better and putting my foot down, and because that's the other thing, and even you see this at the professional level, right? That people sacrifice so much of their bodies, their time, everything. People miss funerals and weddings and major events that only happen once, or should happen once, for their sport. And it's a lot to do with our society and our culture. But then when you look back, you're just there's always another game, until there's not, but it's but these moments that happen, they don't happen again. And so, it just is, it would be interesting to see, if you put your foot down and we're okay, well, I understand we have practice at this time, but I need to go to this. So how can I, rearrange that? Or, what can I do? Because we as student athletes also have power, and we have more power than what we tend to realize. And, we don't say anything. So while I'm not saying go to your coach tomorrow and be hey, not going to be here, I have this. No, be reasonable and be respectful. But, if there are things that are important to you, do find that balance, and, and work on it now. Think about, who do you want to be when you're done? When you're done with your respective sport, who do you want to be? What do you want to be known for? And start thinking about what you want to do, and start trying it out, because, just because you think you want to do something doesn't mean you have to do it. You may get into it and not like it, but the more things you can experience while you have that safety net, the better off you are. And so while, I still have 2 degrees under my belt, sometimes I just feel like it's irrelevant. I feel as though, again, experience means way more than a piece of paper. So, that's something I want you to just definitely keep in mind. And I would love to hear some other student athlete stories of, what it's been like for them if they're still in college. How is it for you now? Do you get to do other things? Do you only have your teammates as friends? Or, what is that life like for you? Do you feel like you have a good balance? And for those of you who are graduates, whether it's, just last year, you're coming up on graduation, or you graduated 10 years ago, what has life been like for you, figuring out who you are and what your identity is. And even if you stayed in the sport, you know, how is that? Because when you still coach, it still is very different from when you play. You know, at least I think, because I did do a little coaching, so I did get to kind of see what that was like. So, you know, just my little sprinkle of knowledge, but I would love to hear from you guys. So I'm sitting here trying to remember what my second thing was. And I should have written it down, but y'all know me and my concussion. Sometimes I forget. So anyways, I like for my videos not to be super long anyways. You know, I think just short, sweet, to the point, and share that information. Oh, but what I am going to share with y'all is I need some advice on what to do with my dogs. Okay, I have a puppy, he's about 8 months, and then my other dog, she is a rescue, she's about 1.5 years. And the two of them insist on breaking out of their crates. When I say break out, like one day I came home and the crate was flipped upside down and my dog Sal had like pushed his way out the top. Okay, so now you guys should see this thing. There are zip ties on every corner, and it's one of those folding crates. There are zip ties on every possible corner. And today I came home and he Incredible Hulked it. She bit off the whole middle of her crate door so she could push her head through. And I'm like, I don't know what to do anymore. But, you know, sometimes when we leave them out, they chew stuff. But I don't know. I've heard mixed things about it. Like, crate your dogs, don't crate your dogs. You know, it's better for them, it's not. I mean, I don't know. I'm at a point where they're breaking out of it so much and we come home and they're out anyways that it's just like, all right, well, do what you want. You got out, so stay out. But if anybody has any ideas of how to get them to relax in the crate and just be okay with staying in there for a couple hours. Like, we come home, we let you out. Like, that should be good enough, but apparently for them it's not. So anyways, that's gonna be it for today. I'm going to follow up this video with a sign language version of the same thing. So for my ASL people out there, deaf or not, be on the lookout for that. So, because you can definitely use the 2 videos to freshen up your ASL skills. So I want you to keep that in mind and to try it out. And let's see, any other announcements for today? I will have one other video this week. The topic is secretive for now, but we'll be coming up with it. I am working on doing a hair tutorial, y'all, but I'm going through a hair crisis, so I don't really know what I want to do with it, or like even have it out in public. So I will get back with you guys on that soon. But thank you so much for watching as always. You guys have really been motivating for me and encouraged me to like really keep this going. So I am super appreciative, and I hope everyone has a fabulous week. It's Monday, okay? No Monday blues, woes, nothing like that. It's Monday. It's going to be a fantastic week. Put it out into the atmosphere and make it happen, okay? Bye, y'all.